In general, I think government should stay out of people's lives as much as possible. Big government results in big problems. But when it comes to government making policies based on people's ancestry or heritage, they should stay the hell out completely. Giving people of certain ancestry more benefits than those who are not of that ancestry is just plain morally wrong. But of late, governments like to tell us that it's a good thing to do this in order to correct intergenerational trauma caused by the harmful effects of colonisation or some other BS. The 6th Labor government of New Zealand, under the leadership of Jacinda Ardern and Chris Hipkins, introduced rules that were very much ancestry-based. Now the 6th National Government, a coalition comprising the National Party, ACT Party and New Zealand First, under the leadership of PM Christopher Luxon, are set to reverse many of these ancestry-based policies, and I think that's a good thing. The former government pushing ahead dividing New Zealanders by their ancestry was going to destroy New Zealand. Smoking. I suppose it comes as little surprise to many of you that the politics of smoking in New Zealand became a racial issue. Associate Professor of Public Health Andrew Wah, who identifies as Maori, has long spoken about the health inequity facing Maori people, which he says is rooted in New Zealand's colonial history. 9% of New Zealand's adult population are daily smokers, whereas more than double that, 22% of Maori are daily smokers. It's even higher among Maori women. In a research report on tobacco usage, along with others, Professor Wah stated, "Colonisation is an underlying driver of ethnic inequalities in smoking behaviour. Indigenous peoples' experiences of colonisation include imposition of alien societal institutions, appropriation of economic resources, and exposure to racism. These affect access to income and housing, and, via health behaviours such as smoking rates, ultimately lead to racialised health inequities." So basically, colonisation is being blamed for Maori people smoking too much, and so the Ardern government proposed a new law to outlaw smoking altogether by banning cigarette sales to anyone born after 2008. Look, I don't like smoking, but I think people should be able to do what they want. As long as they're not blowing smoke in my face or the faces of others, then I don't see the need for a ban. And as we all know, bans won't work. It will just send the market underground. Anyway, Prime Minister Luxon agrees. His government have scrapped the new laws, stating, "The ban would have created an opportunity for a black market to emerge, which would be largely untaxed." Of course, the usual suspects are claiming some sort of non-existent racism. BBC, New Zealand smoking ban, Maori mourn loss of hard-won smoking reform, Indigenous people's experience of generational theft, racism and cyclical poverty. So basically, they're saying the only way to stop Maori people from smoking is by banning cigarettes. You can't possibly convince them to not shove a cigarette in their face any other way. What a horribly racist thing to say, not to mention that around 80% of Maori people do just fine not smoking. Maori language. The new PM has stated that his government are planning to dial back the use of Maori language in government organisations. Fair enough. I mean, only about 16.5% of New Zealanders identify as Maori, and only about 4% of the population can speak Maori. So it doesn't make sense to allow Maori language in the government if the vast majority of people can't understand it. Sure, people can study Maori if they want to, but it shouldn't be forced upon people. As with any language, forcing the Maori language on people causes them to resent it. Treaty of Waitangi, the country's 180-year-old founding document. The new government have said they will review the treaty and allow Parliament to debate whether the nation should hold a referendum on co-governance with Maori, which in practice would give Maori a permanent seat in government, regardless of the norms of democracy. Privately, many New Zealanders see this as a Maori takeover, and without knowing too much about New Zealand politics, I think the results of the referendum would be a big fat no. As we saw in Australia with the Indigenous Voice referendum, people don't want others getting political advantage based purely on their ancestry. And the last one, Maori Health Authority. The new government has already announced its plans to close the Maori Health Authority, Te Aka Wai Ora, set up during Jacinda Ardern's Labor government in order to improve Maori health outcomes. Some commentators have claimed that this has simply created a two-tier system based on patients' ancestry. It actually had real ramifications, as I mentioned in previous videos. This is from June 2023 from The Guardian. New Zealand starts giving priority to Maori and Pacific elective surgery patients. Basically, a new algorithm was implemented in some hospitals, which meant Maori and Pacific patients were pushed higher on surgery waiting lists than those of other ethnicities. It was racist. It was discriminatory. It goes against all traditional triage principles, but yet it was allowed under a Labor government. David Seymour, leader of coalition partner ACT New Zealand, a libertarian party, and future Deputy Prime Minister, was asked about these changes. He simply said, "Where will New Zealand be in 50 years' time if the current path continues, where Kiwis are offered different rights based on their ancestry?" It's a good rhetorical question, one which I answered at the start of this video. Pushing ahead, dividing New Zealanders by their ancestry is going to destroy New Zealand. I don't think that's an exaggeration. With regards to the Treaty of Waitangi, Mr. Seymour said, "I acknowledge the Treaty of Waitangi is a national taonga, Maori for treasure, but its principles are vague, free-floating ideas that activist judges and officials to divine." Anyway, the New Zealand government are planning to do away with all these ancestry-based policies, and I think that's probably the best thing not only for equality, but also for social cohesion. Putting others ahead of others because they happen to have the right bloodline is a recipe for disaster.